We're going to be making a leg rig called a reverse leg, and here's why. We haven't talked about it yet, but joints, they use a thing called FK, or forward kinematic motion. FK motion is rotational motion, so when I rotate this leg, you can see I'm doing this nice little chorus line kick, but I'm moving properly from the hip and the leg hasn't changed shape. That's rotational. If I try to translate the leg, all kinds of terrible things happen, and let's just not scale, it's just wrong. So this is great because in many ways this is how our physical actual bodies work, right? You rotate from the hip, you rotate your arms. So technically forward kinematic motion is great. But that's not really how we walk, right? We push off the floor, and that's translational motion, so your leg moves up from the bottom. I can simulate that back in the skeleton menu by creating these things called IK, or inverse kinematic handles. So if I make one, I will just start the IK handle tool running. I'm going to click on the left hip and then on the left ankle. That creates a new object called IK handle 1. I'm going to call this one left ankle IK. What this IK handle does, let me turn on my display for them. What this IK handle does is it lets me pick up the leg from the bottom. Ooh, that looks like it's going to be helpful, doesn't it? So inverse kinematic motion will allow me to reverse forward kinematic motion. Great. So far so good. So I've got this left ankle IK that looks really helpful, and it's going to let me pick up the leg. What it's not going to let me do is create that push-off motion that your foot makes. What's happening there is your ball, that ball joint that I say a lot of students skip and that you yourself were probably tempted to skip at some point. That ball joint rotates in the reverse direction. It rotates not to rotate the toe, it rotates to rotate the ankle. So technically what I need in order to create a full-on leg rig is not one IK handle, but 3. So I'm going to go back to skeleton, create IK handle. This next one I'm going to click on the ankle and then the ball, and I'll call this one my left ball IK. And then I'm actually going to create a third one. In this case, I can press the G key and click on the ball joint and then on the toe. This is going to be my left toe IK handle. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the right side. So again, we'll just start create IK handle. The first one's going to go all the way from the hip down to the ankle. So I'm going to skip the knee joint there. This is going to be right ankle IK. Then the next one is going to go from the ankle to the ball, and I will call this one my right ball IK. And then the last one, I will go from the ball to the toe, and this one I will call my right toe IK. Now these IK handles are great. So I've got this toe IK handle, and it will let me wiggle the toes just like the ball joint used to. And I've got this ball IK handle, and it does that. So I still haven't quite achieved that push off the floor motion that your foot makes. But I've made a lot of progress. I can do this. That's more than I had when I started. I feel like this reverse leg is going to be a big reveal in a couple of videos, but I'm going to pause this one here and let you get used to making your IK handles and just kind of like pulling them around and messing with them. When I get back in the next video, I will talk about making controls for these IK handles, and those are the things that we'll be using to do the animation. So I will be right back with that.